The battlefield was cold and silent. Broken metal pieces floated in space, leftovers from a war that had already taken too many lives. Above the shattered moon of Kirel 7, the last fight of the day was about to begin. On one side stood Vork, the strongest warrior from the planet Dravak. He was tall, his armor black like night, and his eyes glowed with green fire. The galaxy feared his name. He had never lost a fight. His claws had ripped through machines, monsters, and men. His people called him the End of Worlds. On the other side stood a human, alone. Sergeant Kane was dirty, tired, and bleeding from the last battle. His armor was old and cracked. He didn't have backup. No army, no weapons except a small plasma knife in his fists. The other soldiers had been killed, and his ship was gone. He should have been afraid. But Kane didn't run. He stood still, watching. Vork landed in front of him with a loud thud that cracked the ground. "You are the last human left," Vork said. "Your world will fall. Kneel, and I will make your death quick." Kane said nothing. He just wiped blood from his face, rolled his neck, and cracked his knuckles. Vork's eyes narrowed. "You think you can fight me?" Kane finally spoke, his voice quiet but full of fire. "I've already fought hell and came back. You're just another monster." Without warning, Vork charged. The battle started with a flash. Vork's speed was terrifying. His claws slashed through the air, missing Kane by inches. The ground shook with every step he took. But Kane moved like smoke. He dodged, ducked, and countered. He was faster than anyone expected. One punch from Kane hit Vork in the side of the head. The alien stumbled back, shocked. Kane followed with a kick to the chest, sending Vork into a pile of broken metal. The Dravak soldiers watching from orbit couldn't believe it. "Is he winning?" one of them whispered. Vork growled and stood up. His pride burned. This was impossible. A human, alone, with no advanced weapon. Fighting him? He attacked again, harder this time. He grabbed Kane by the neck and slammed him to the ground. The dirt cracked. Kane gasped, blood in his mouth. But his eyes never showed fear. He grinned. With a sudden twist, he broke Vork's grip and punched him 3 times in the ribs. One of them cracked. Vork roared and fell back again. Kane stood slowly, breathing heavy, hurt, but alive. "Why?" Vork asked, confused. "Why don't you fall? Why don't you run?" Kane spit blood and said, "Because if I run, I'll have to chase you twice." The fight continued for minutes that felt like hours. Kane didn't win with strength. He won with pain. Every time he got hit, he hit back harder. Every time he fell, he stood up again. Vork fought like a trained killer. Kane fought like a man with nothing to lose. At last, Vork lay on the ground, broken and bleeding. His armor was cracked. His pride was shattered. Kane stood over him, chest rising and falling. He raised his knife, but stopped. He looked into Vork's eyes and said, "You lost the moment you thought I was weak." Then he walked away. The Dravak fleet watched in silence. Their champion was beaten. Their pride was crushed. After that day, no one attacked Earth again. Stories of the human named Kane spread across the stars. Some called him a demon. Others called him a ghost. But all feared him. And Vork? He disappeared. But somewhere deep in space, he waited. Training. Watching. Angry. Years passed. Then, one day, in a quiet colony on the edge of the galaxy, Vork returned. Bigger. Stronger. He found Kane, now older, working on a ship, not wearing armor, not expecting company. Vork stepped into the light. "You should run, human," he growled. Kane looked up, slowly stood. He didn't look surprised. He cracked his knuckles, smiled slightly, and said, "Round 2? The dusty colony of Riven 9 was silent as the two figures stood face to face. The sun burned low on the horizon, painting long shadows across the metal ground. Children and workers watched from behind windows, breath held, afraid of what would come next. Vork, the alien warrior once feared across the galaxy, now stronger and more battle-scarred, had returned after years of hiding. His eyes burned with one goal, revenge, and Kane, the human who once beat him in front of the galaxy, now older, with gray in his beard and a tired look in his eyes, faced him without fear. The silence was heavy. Vork took one step forward. You humiliated me in front of my people, he growled. I trained every day to kill you. I've crossed 3 star systems just to find you. Kane stood up straight, wiping his greasy hands on a cloth. He was in no armor, just a simple mechanic's uniform. His ship behind him was half-built. A small girl peeked out from the workshop door. His daughter. He looked at her, then at Vork. You want another fight? Kane asked. You came to the wrong place. Vork bared his teeth. I came to the right one. You have something to protect. Now. That makes you weak. That sentence changed everything. Kane's calm face became serious. His hand slowly reached behind a toolbox and pulled out a small metal case. He opened it. Inside was a pair of old knuckle guards, scratched and dented from battles long past. He put them on, one by one. The girl stayed silent, watching with wide eyes. She had never seen her father like this. He had always been gentle, quiet, fixing machines and cooking breakfast. But now, there was something in his eyes, something cold, something dangerous. Vork didn't wait. He charged. His new armor was stronger, faster. His claws had been sharpened by alien tech. He swung with fury. Kane dodged the first 2 attacks, then caught Vork's wrist with one hand and punched his stomach with the other. It sounded like metal crashing into metal, but Kane wasn't the same man from years ago. His speed had slowed just a little. His breath came heavier after every dodge. Vork noticed it. You've aged, Vork said. This will be easier than I thought. Kane didn't reply. He simply fought harder. The two crashed into each other. Again, sparks flew as their fists met. The workshop shook. Kane threw Vork across the yard into a pile of metal scrap. But when he turned, a plasma blast hit his side. Vork had brought a hidden weapon. Kane fell to one knee, groaning. His daughter screamed from the door, but he raised a hand to stop her from coming closer. You brought a gun, Kane said through gritted teeth. That's new, Vork laughed. I learned from last time. You don't fight fair. Why should I? He pointed the plasma pistol at Kane's head. Kane stayed still. Go ahead, he said. Shoot me. But if you miss, I'll bury you. Vork's hand trembled just for a second. Then something unexpected happened. A blast from behind knocked the gun from Vork's hand. The girl had activated a small drone Kane had built for her, one with a stun blaster. It floated above, buzzing with energy. Vork turned in rage, but Kane was already up. This time, he didn't hold back. He moved fast, surprising Vork with a punch to the face, then a blow to the chest that broke through armor. He grabbed Vork's arm, twisted it, and flipped him to the ground. Kane placed his foot on Vork's chest, breathing hard. I told you, he said, voice low. You should have stayed gone. Vork struggled, but couldn't move. His armor cracked. His pride shattered once more. The colonists came out slowly. They stared in silence. Some had thought Kane was just a quiet man who fixed ships. Now they saw the warrior beneath the calm surface. Kane looked at them, then back at his daughter. It's over, he said. Let's go home. He turned and walked away, leaving Vork lying broken in the dust. But as Kane walked into the workshop, the camera hidden in Vork's chest lit up. A signal was sent. Not to the Dravak, not to any government, but to something far worse. Something that had been watching Earth and humans for a long time. Something that didn't just want revenge, but total war, and they now knew where Kane lived. Kane didn't sleep that night. He sat outside his workshop under the twin moons of Riven 9, sharpening an old combat blade. The same one he once used during the Terran Wars. His daughter Lyra was inside sleeping, but he kept checking the door. He knew this wasn't over. Vork was taken away by the colony guards, locked in a steel cage. But Kane had seen it. The flash of a signal transmitter in the alien's chest. Someone had watched the fight. Someone powerful. The next day, a strange ship appeared in orbit. It wasn't from the Dravak Empire or any nearby system. Its shape was sharp, black like empty space, and it had no identification signals. The colony radar officers were confused. It didn't answer any hails. It just floated silently, watching. That, Night, another signal came. Not to the colony government, but directly to Kane's private channel. It was a voice Kane hadn't heard in 10 years. "You made noise, old friend," the voice said. "Now the council knows you're still alive." Kane's face turned pale. He recognized the voice. It belonged to Jorak, the former assassin of the now-dead Shadow Council, a hidden group of aliens who once tried to destroy Earth during the human uprising. Kane thought they were gone forever. Jorak continued, "You should have stayed hidden. But now, they're sending the reclaimers." Kane didn't answer. He just shut off the comm. He walked inside, opened a hidden panel beneath the floor, and pulled out a black box. Inside were encrypted maps, a wrist-activated defense shield, and one photo of his old unit, the people who once helped save Earth. Most of them were dead now, but not all. The next day, the skies darkened over Riven 9. The mysterious ship dropped something. A single figure landed, wearing dark red armor and moving like a shadow. He had no name, only a symbol on his chest. The people of the colony watched him walk through the streets, silent, scanning everything. He stopped outside Kane's workshop. Kane stepped out, holding nothing but a wrench. "You look smaller in person," the armored figure said. "And you look dumber with that armor," Kane replied. The stranger didn't laugh. He threw a disc into the ground. It exploded, throwing Kane back through a wall. The fight had begun. Kane grabbed his old blade, blocked a plasma strike, rolled sideways, and kicked the attacker in the chest. But this wasn't like Vork. This one was trained, smart, deadly. The battle moved through the colony streets. Walls shattered, sparks flew. People screamed and ran for cover. The stranger was fast, but Kane was smarter. He tricked the attacker into chasing him into the scrapyard. There, Kane triggered an old gravity trap he had hidden years ago. The metal walls slammed shut, and the stranger was stuck, held by 12 tons of force. Kane dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Then the stranger laughed. "That was test 1. The next will not come alone." Kane frowned. "How many are coming?" "All of them." The stranger smiled as a countdown began on his armor. Kane ran. Behind him, the trap exploded in blue fire. The stranger was gone. Back in his workshop, Kane stared at the sky. He knew what was coming. The reclaimers were elite, hunters, sent only when the Shadow Council wanted someone erased from existence. Kane had fought them once before, years ago, and now they were coming for him again. He turned to Lyra, who stood holding her teddy bot, frightened. "I thought we left war behind," she whispered. "So did I," Kane said softly. "But war never leaves us." As night fell, the stars above flickered. More ships appeared in the darkness, silent, cold, deadly. Riven 9 had become a battlefield again, and Kane was ready. But he would need help, and he knew just who to call. Kane stood alone, on the roof of his workshop, staring at the dark sky. Above him, alien ships floated silently like shadows waiting to strike. He knew the reclaimers had arrived, and this time, they wouldn't stop with just him. They wanted a message sent across the galaxy. No human defies the Council, but Kane had a message too. He walked inside, opened his secret terminal, and pressed a dusty red button. A call went out across space, not a call for help, but a call for warriors. The screen lit up with faces. Old, rough, and battle-scarred humans. One was Captain Alara from the Terran Steel Fleet. Another was Jax, Kane's old rival turned friend, from Earth's resistance days. Others were bounty hunters, ex-soldiers, and outcasts. Kane looked at them all. "The reclaimers are back, and this time, they're after me. And anyone who protects me." Alara smirked. "Then let's give them a welcome party." Within hours, small human ships began jumping into Riven 9's orbit. They weren't as powerful as the Council ships, but they were fast, smart, and led by warriors who had nothing to lose. Meanwhile, Kane built traps all around the colony. Gravity mines, EMP nets, plasma-spewing auto-turrets hidden under scrap. Piles. Even the colony kids helped, laying sensor wires under the dirt. As night came, Lyra hugged her father. "Will we be okay?" Kane knelt. We're not alone anymore. Suddenly the ground shook. Reclaimer pods rained down like fireballs. Giant armored aliens marched out, glowing red eyes and thunder-like footsteps. They didn't speak. They just destroyed everything in their path. Kane raised his old combat blade. Time to remind them what it means to fight a human. The battle exploded across Riven 9. Kane and Jax took the western streets, using fast bikes and sharp turns to outmaneuver the Reclaimers. Jax used a gravity blaster to slam one alien into a building. Kane disabled another by luring it into an old reactor zone and overloading the core. Alara led the air defense. Her ship, the Ember Fang, flew between towers, launching shock missiles that knocked 2 Reclaimer dropships out of the sky. Inside the colony square, the Reclaimers cornered the civilians. One stepped forward, lifting a child. Then, boom, a sniper shot hit its eye. From a nearby hill, an old friend of Kane's, Mira, the ghost sniper of the Venus Wars, grinned. Still got it. The Reclaimers regrouped. They weren't expecting this much resistance. They tried to send a message back to the Council, but Kane had already jammed their signals. Kane led the final charge through the central reactor corridor. He faced the armored leader of the Reclaimers, 7 feet tall, with black energy blades for hands. "You could have run," the alien hissed. Kane cracked his knuckles. "Round 2? They fought. It wasn't a clean fight. Kane was older now, slower, but smarter. He baited the alien near the gravity core. When the timing was perfect, he slammed a magnetic rod into the floor, pulling the Reclaimer's armor into the core. The energy ripped through the alien's body. It screamed once, and then vanished into the light. Silence fell. Smoke and fire drifted over the colony. Human fighters stood tired but proud. They had won. For now. But Kane knew the Council wouldn't stop. They'd send more. Bigger. Worse. Still, he smiled because this time, the humans were ready, and Riven 9 had become more than a colony. It had become a warning. Mess with one human. Fight them all. The smoke from the battlefield still floated in the sky above Riven 9. Burned ships, broken buildings, and injured fighters lay across the land. But the colony was standing. The humans had done something no one believed possible. They stopped, the Reclaimers again. Kane sat near the remains of his workshop. His arm was wounded, and his body ached. But he was alive. And more than that, he had protected his daughter, his people, and the memory of those who once fought beside him. Lyra ran to him and hugged him tightly. "You did it," she whispered. Kane smiled, tired but proud. "We all did it." Ships landed all around them. Human forces from nearby systems had heard the battle and were now arriving in numbers. Not to fight, but to help. Supplies, medical teams, engineers. They all came because they believed in something now. They believed in Kane, and in the strength of humanity. In the Council's central chamber far away, the news was received with silence. The leader of the Reclaimers stood before the Council elders, ashamed and wounded. "You said humans were finished," one elder hissed. "They are not finished," the Reclaimer growled. "They are rising again, and this time they are not afraid." Council realized something had changed. The humans had survived 2 invasions. They had become stronger after each one. Fear was no longer a weapon that worked against them. Back on Riven 9, Kane stood with his old team. Alara, Jax, Mira, and others. He looked up at the stars, then turned to the group. "They'll come again," he said. "Then we'll fight again," Jax replied. "Or maybe," Alara added, "it's time we take the fight to them." Everyone went silent. Kane nodded slowly. "Maybe it's time humanity stops hiding. Maybe it's time we show the galaxy what it means to fight a human." That night, a signal was sent from Riven 9. It wasn't a call for help. It wasn't a cry of fear. It was a message. Simple, clear, and powerful. To all who threaten Earth and its people. We are still here. We remember. We fight. And we do not run. Across the galaxy, allies and enemies both heard it. And in dark corners of space, old human colonies began to stir again. Warriors came out of hiding. Ships once buried in ice were pulled from forgotten. Worlds. A new fire was lighting up inside the hearts of those who had lost hope. Because of one human. Because of a father who wouldn't run. And a colony that stood when everyone expected them to fall. The war was not over. But the galaxy had been warned. Humanity was back, and this time, they were ready.